rocking his head. But so is most of the world. If you watched maybe 5 minutes or 10 minutes of the inquiry that was going on whether or not to have an impeachment hearing. Okay. It's kind of like I'm talking about going on a date with someone and I'm evaluating with every member of Congress, should I go on a date with this person? And giving everyone 5 minutes to talk. Welcome, everybody. My name's Stuart Brisgell. That's David Solomon. We're going to bring you unfiltered, uncensored conversation on a wide range of topics. This podcast is dedicated on giving an honest opinion, thoughts, experiences, and ideas, and hear from a variety of perspectives. Now, and if you're on Facebook and you're trying to, cut us off again, don't worry, we're on to you. Join us as we dive into the latest news, pop culture, and so much more. Rants from absurdity, like the people trying to get us off Facebook, and discussions about deeper issues like politics, science, life, morals, values. Join us. We've got you covered at the Rant Network. So I started off by talking about a dating circuit, giving everyone 5 minutes to tell me whether I should or shouldn't, and hopefully having material facts. For example, I'm looking to date a girl. I want her. Here's the girl that I'm looking at. And instead of telling me she's lovely, she's ugly, she's a bad person, she's a good person, do you know the weather in Wichita, Kansas was snowy? Or moreover, that driving a Lada isn't a good idea. This would be the contrast between what went on yesterday for hours, giving everyone 5 minutes as a pulpit to talk about what they want. David, I know that was a long intro, but I think you can run with that one.
Well, listen, let's put pieces here together here again. Yesterday was the opening of the inquiry into the Biden family, or I like to call them the Biden mafia, in terms of the pay to play and all that kind of stuff. It's an inquiry. An inquiry means we were going to look into getting evidence, because evidence is being redacted by the FBI, the DOJ. There's an obstruction of justice. If you're blind, you don't see it, but it's there. And Congress has the right to demand it. And it's an inquiry. It's not an investigation. There is an inquiry into getting this information. But of course, the Democrats, they don't want this. This is a stain, of course, on their attempts to be reelected. And of course, on this committee, you need Republicans, you need Democrats, and the Republicans are talking about justice, and the Democrats are trying to talk, as Stuart said, about everything else but. The amount of gamesmanship and plays, and you see people with posters and lies and spewed. There is a government shutdown going to happen on the 30th of September if we don't do this, and all we're doing is ranting about this and this and this and this. But of course, the Democrats aren't telling you that the reason you're about to have a government shutdown is because they spent all the money. There's no more money. They spent it all on stupid programs. But that they're not going to tell you. They're going to tell you that seniors and folks on welfare and all that, they're the ones in trouble. This inquiry is a waste of time and money, and we should be focusing on priorities. So yesterday I couldn't stop laughing listening to this as I was choking down my lunch, because here I'm saying, didn't we say the same thing 6 years ago when they opened up the Trump-Russia collusion case? Let's veer away from the priorities. The Mueller investigation, Stuart, cost taxpayers $32 million at the end to find out that there was nothing. That the 3 years that they tried to impeach, and Nancy Pelosi, Hillary Clinton, and the rest of the Democratic cronies, including Adam Schiff, were all gunning for Trump. Adam Schiff, February of 2019, said evidence is in plain sight. And then Mueller a month later says there's no evidence. What the media did was cover this, and I'm not just saying the United States, Canada, around the world, covered it as if this was horrifying. Was there Russian interference? They found that there was interference in the election. Yes, we found that. Was there collusion with Donald Trump? No, there wasn't no evidence to that. They made up stuff. But they took years away, taxpayers' dollars, and instead they made up this entire noise to impeach Donald Trump. That's all it was about. That by 2020, discredit Donald Trump so that they can get elected. And they succeeded in it.
Yep.
Republicans are being accused of revenge. The Republicans are accused of looking for a smoking gun. The Republicans are being accused of all the things that the Republicans.
Smoking gun or crack pipe.
Yeah, that too.
Bong. Sorry.
No. But at the end of the day, the question is, do the American people listen and carefully to the Democrats' line? Now, listen, the Republicans spin their own stuff. I'm not suggesting that the Republicans are saints and the Democrats are not. All these politicians are not saints. But listen carefully. There are IRS whistleblowers who have come. There is evidence to this effect. The FBI and the DOJ have run interference on this. It's been known. We've seen it. We've heard it. And the Democrats do not want to deal with it. And so they're lying. And it's fascinating to listen to the lies that the Democrats are spewing in order to save their own ass. Okay? I talked about Biden. But yesterday, CNN, Jake Tapper, God bless Jake Tapper. I have respect for him. I don't like his politics, but I have respect for him. Because yesterday, Democratic Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley, a member of the Squad, was interviewed and asked about the migrant problem, the immigrant problem. And she says, quote, the borders are secure.
Yeah. Airtight.
What lies can you be spinning? 10,000 migrants a day plus are coming through illegally, and your border is secure, which means you are super confident that there are no terrorists. There's no fentanyl. There's none of this. One more example. These are two examples that happened in 24 hours of how the Democrats want to lie to the American people and the world. Stuart.
Well, I mean, do you sound shocked? I mean, listen, I would love to go back to 1960 Democratic Party. I'd like to go back to the 1960 media, where people that worked in the news had a reputation, were credible, more so than they are 40 years later, 60 years later. You know, it really boils down to editorialism in news, accusations or actual convictions. Someone being charged isn't someone found guilty. And that's the order of law.
Well, it depends on your politics.
But unless you're Donald J. Trump. Unless you're Donald J. Trump.
Yep.
Right? You know, you have a Democrat who is found with hundreds of thousands of dollars of cash. He's a full-time politician. Let me ask you a question. Was he washing cars to make that cash? Was he selling stuff on eBay? It's really just another story in a host of stories that we've talked about here over the last 3 years. You know, we're not a right-wing media outlet. You know, I think we're pretty center for the most part. And I'd like to continue to be center. But David, I can't stop wondering when the people will understand what's going on. Well, you know, the Georgia charge in Fulton County is the most difficult charge that Donald J. Trump has. Right? I don't know if you're familiar. The media is spinning it that this guy caused an insurrection and election interference.
No.
The news would have him found guilty.
Denial. Which in Georgia, when you do that, that's interference. It's like his denial. It's a crime.
But you know what, David? I got to tell you, it is disheartening to see what's going on in all of the news, in all of the politics. I think politicians have lost their political way. I think that it's all about the money and not about the people. So, David, I'm just at a dead end.
It's actually it. Listen, it's actually very funny because here's what I'm talking about. Hillary Clinton is an election denier.
Yep.
She called the president, Donald Trump, numerous times the illegitimate
Yep.
president. He did not win the election. She's an election
Yep.
denier.
Where's her charge?
Trump said is a president. Let's be clear. Neither Stuart or I are Trumpists. Let's get over this whole business because I know people like to say, "Oh, you're a bunch of Trumpists. All you guys care is to get Donald Trump elected." I really don't. I think he's not right anymore. I think he's done. But I also am a person who calls out bullshit. And bullshit here is when you have people on the left doing something and then the right does it, that's wrong. You can't do that. That's my tactic and you can't have it. And if you do it, I'll indict you. I'm coming after you. And it's fascinating to watch this, that Hillary continues to deny the election of 2016. It was illegitimate. And she said it numerous times. And when Donald Trump got indicted and she was on MSNBC, it just happened to be, and we ranted about this, she says, "Oh my God, absolutely, he deserves it." So she's found him guilty till proven innocent. The tenet of democracy is innocence till proven guilty, except if it's somebody on the right. And the Democrats continue to spew it. Current and former Democrats continue to spew it. If you were permitted to arrest people who lie like that, it would be great. But there is no accountability. I could say whatever I want. Media hardly fact checks. Although, yes, CNN did have to correct, Ayanna Pressley. That by definition, by definition, if people are crossing the border, it's not secure. By definition.
And let me tell you something. They were eating their shorts having to correct her because they are paid not to correct her. Listen, access is what their payment is. And frankly, I think that all of this media coverage should be a cost to the political parties in dollars and cents. And it come up on their form. Because frankly, that's all it is.
But Stuart, that listen. There are people out there who are going to say Fox is the Republican voice box.
I don't disagree with you.
And you know what? This is what's become of this. We've had to create partisan media because of this. If the liberal media wants to spew that the left is always right and the right is always wrong, you need to counter it. Unfortunately, we're not saying this is right and this is wrong. It's not balanced. And thanks to them, they've legitimized the Democratic Party with all of their lies. They're not being truthful. Yes, there could be a government shutdown tomorrow. Absolutely. You've already got bipartisan agreement in the Senate about how to fix the problem. You don't have bipartisan agreement in the Congress. And of course, the Democrats are pointing the fingers at the Republicans. You're running the show. You could control things. But the Democrats don't want to give in. They want what they want. They'll stomp their feet until they get it. And too bad
David,
for you.
it sounds like a 3-year-old child. David, get this last word in because we're wrapping.
Look, Stuart, at the end of the day, if people were permitted to listen to the real sound bites, they would hear the lies by the Democratic Party. They won't. Bob Menendez is not going to resign. They will continue to lie about the inquiry. There will continue to be an obstruction of justice. The people of the United States, ladies and gentlemen, 2024's November 2024's election has become more important than ever. I can't believe I'm saying this, but if you don't go out and vote and send a message to government for both sides of the aisle, God knows what's going to happen. And forget we even talk about, our other candidates, but let's leave it at that.
Maybe we should talk next week about that. Thanks all for joining in today. This was an interesting conversation. This is the Rant Network. Catch us on any of the podcasts that we broadcast on, any of the audios that we broadcast on, whether it's Apple, Amazon, Spotify. We'd love to see you. Support us Monday, Wednesday, Friday for a thought-provoking conversation where we're going to keep it real. And I promise I won't be chomping on candy while the next broadcast, because there'll be none left, David. I'm too sweet. Kill it, man. We're done.